This is episode number 195 of the Homeowner Show. Whether you're a DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowner Show. We're so glad that you could join us for another episode of the Homeowner Show here in the studio. How you doing, Kev?
Well, besides being extremely exhausted just from manual labor, sucks. But other than that, things are good. We are going to do an episode on what I've been doing today. Okay. So it's coming, but
you have to pay your clubhouse dues first.
Yeah, right. But I'll tell you this. The little teaser is I got a taste of owning land today.
Oh, you got a little bit of that.
Yeah. So anyway, how you doing, man?
I am doing really, really good, man. So we're heading out of town tomorrow,
right?
And so I've been wanting to mow my grass because I hate having to come home to like an unkempt lawn.
Sure.
I like to come home to a nice.
And honestly, like after being gone for a week, it's going to need mowed again. So
yes,
it's going to be out of control if you don't do it now.
Yeah. So the problem is my mower's been broken.
Yeah.
What's going on?
We need some lights. People can't even see us.
Oh, that's way better. What's going on with that one?
I don't know. That one looks a little dim.
Yeah, looks a little sad.
Well, that means I'm just going to be a little dim. It's fine, y'all. It's fine.
So anyway, so I've got a zero-turn mower, Cub Cadet.
Yeah.
It's a 46-inch deck.
Sweet.
I've had it for like 5 or 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually at least once a year there's something that's broken or needs to be repaired at this point. Well, all of a sudden, the left transmission quit working.
Oh.
And like the right one was working, so I could, just sit there and spin in a circle.
That's not going to mow very much.
Two ways.
How about that?
2 different circles. Just couldn't move forward and backward.
Yeah.
But so I started doing some research, and it seemed like everything I came across was like, well, you can drop that transmission and take it apart and do a rebuild, or you can buy a new one. And it's like, well, you could spend 20 hours taking the thing apart and making sure that you watch every little tiny piece so that you can put it right back where it belongs.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Or you can spend, $700 to $800 on a new hydrostatic transmission.
No, thank you.
Exactly. I mean, the lawnmower itself was, I think, like $3,200.
Sure.
So, I mean, like at that point, like,
yeah. What do you do?
So, I start, thinking.
Yeah.
And I went outside just to look at it to see if I could tell that there was anything physically wrong with it. And look, you got the light to work.
How about that?
And there was a cable that's attached to one of the arms that was loose.
Okay.
And so it wasn't disengaging the parking brake from the transmission.
So that side literally couldn't move because it was
exactly
braking.
And so like you would push the arm and you'd hear like a hum, but because that gear's locked up, it couldn't move.
Gotcha.
So just so everyone knows, I've been working on little bitty engines since I was like 14, 15 years old. I've been doing this, like, I'm not a professional, but I can tend to make things be able to start and run and operate properly.
Good to know.
Good. Yeah. So I've got a little bit of experience with, but like honestly, not a whole lot with hydrostatic transmissions. That's a whole different ballgame. But anyway, upon further investigation, there is a little bitty spring that gives tension to that line in order so that when you move the arms in and out, it engages and disengages that parking brake.
Okay.
And so when you pull them in, it actually disengages this locking mechanism. And what it does is it releases the tension off of the spring and pushes that thing out of the lock so that the transmission can spin.
Sure.
And all it was there was a spring missing.
Wow.
So, well, they don't exactly, you can't just like run down to Ace Hardware and say, hey, I need a hydrostatic transmission spring.
Right. Can you get one of those in the back?
Yeah, for the Cub Cadet. No,
right.
Because like all of them are sort of specific.
Sure.
So what I did is I don't know how I remembered this. I had an old doorstop.
Oh. Oh yeah.
In the shop.
Okay.
And
one of the old ones is like
exactly.
We just would kick those as a child,
just to annoy the bejesus out of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I took that thing and I measured it against the other spring, and then I cut it.
Oh my!
And then took some needle nose pliers and shaped it on the ends so it would hook on.
Oh my goodness!
And it worked perfectly.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
So there you go.
So you had to get into the other one, take it off.
Well, no, I just kind of held it up there and eyeballed it. I didn't have the time to make this precise because I didn't even know if it was going to work. Honestly, it was like, so I just MacGyvered it.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
I got the lawn mowed.
There you go.
So
I mean, it looks really good.
Thank you.
I mean, from what I saw, whenever it's dark,
it was dark.
It's very dark. But whenever I drove in, I'm like,
I'm going to take the compliment, Kevin.
No,
all right,
you should. I drove in and I was like, oh look, there's the lawnmower. Wow, the lawn looks really low.
Stuff happened here today.
Stuff happened.
I can see my shins.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. The seller of our house left their riding lawnmower.
Okay.
And it's gonna have to get mowed tomorrow.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's hope that thing starts, buddy.
Otherwise, you're push mowing the whole thing, right?
Well, nope.
No.
I'm calling you.
I'll be in Arkansas.
I know where the mower is. But you're
you have my trailer.
Yeah, that's why. Will it fit in there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good to know.
It will fit in there.
Okay.
So, well, anyway, speaking of lawns, we're going to do a review today of the B-Hyve.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this? I mean, like, I know you heard of this because I told you about it.
I had never heard of it before. I mean, whenever you said it, I was like, well, you're a beekeeper.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking something along those lines, and it's not anywhere near the same.
No, so this is actually made by Orbit.
Yeah, and so Orbit, for those of you who may go, I feel like I've heard that name somewhere. So they do all kinds of like sprinklers,
right?
Like like end of the hose sprinklers. You just and they also do irrigation system sprinklers too. So you can buy those, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a smart water controller.
Okay.
So and it's intended to be part of a much larger system, which I think is where the name B-Hyve even comes from.
Oh, I was wondering if it was called B-Hyve maybe because of the way it was shaped or something.
No, the unit itself is not shaped, but like they do have like the honeycomb shape on the box quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely. So I'll just show people here. So here's the box right here.
Yeah, and so what it says smart Wi-Fi hose faucet timer with hub, and that's important because you do have to have the hub. And so in the back of the box, they're just showing you some different things that it can do.
Yep.
But so right off the bat, I got this thing because I was having some issues remembering to water some more delicate plants and some food-bearing plants on my property because I don't have an irrigation system. I don't have a sprinkler system to do those kinds of things for me.
Right.
And so I was trying to figure out a way because like I don't always have the time or the energy when I get home to remember to like just stand out there and water the plants.
Yeah, and Orbit used to have a timer that you just buy at Home Depot or even Walmart, I think. That you just hook on to the end of your hose and then you run, like I had 4 different hoses coming off of it.
Right.
And it would, whenever the timer was set, it would do one and then go off and it would do another one and just however you had it set. And it sounds like, from what I'm seeing online here, this is kind of their newer generation of that. But
absolutely.
But it's much smarter because the other one you had to manually.
Yeah, it was like a rotary timer, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, they had the rotary, and then they had one that was digital, but you still had to change all the settings on the
you had to go to the unit.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this one obviously is going to be a little bit more sophisticated. I've had it hooked up to 2 sprinklers off of 1 unit.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking that I'm going to try it with 3, but I'm thinking 2's the max.
Okay.
just for the amount of water pressure you need for these sprinklers.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a sprinkler that I bought to go with this one. I'm gonna talk about that one a little bit later on, because the sprinkler I bought to go with them is super, super cool.
Okay.
But obviously the meat on the bone is going to be the B-Hyve. So the way this system works, it's very similar to the way a lot of different systems are going now, where you have a central hub that then attaches to all the auxiliary units.
Yeah.
And so what you have is you have a plug-in-the-wall hub for your B-Hyve, and then you have all of the little actual control units that then connect back to that hub. So, and I don't know exactly how many of these things that you can have on one system. I never saw anything on the manual, in the app, or any of that kind of stuff that indicated that there was a limit. I would imagine that there is.
I'm looking right now.
But anyway, the way that they sell this thing, the one that I bought is the package. So you get the hub and then the control unit. And then you can just add on control units as you go forward.
Sure.
And the control units are actually battery powered. So and what's nice about that is there's no cabling or anything like that. The downside is obviously that eventually the battery will wear down and you'll have to replace it.
Sure.
The units themselves are, and what I mean, like the control units themselves are very, very simple.
Okay.
We have like this really aggressive fly in the studio tonight.
Is annoying.
Yeah. But anyway, the only thing that's on there is the hose connector.
Right.
And then the other hose connector, the battery container, and then the on-off switch.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, because the rest of the functionality is
Everything's through
in
the
an
app. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that it says you can connect as many as you want.
Oh, cool.
So
There you go. Unlimited.
497 is probably the place that I would tell you to go next. 497 for your acreage here would be perfect.
400, yeah.
So now you know.
So, and I will say the only thing I had I've had two issues with this system so far.
Okay.
And they're not insurmountable, and I don't know that I would use them to discourage anybody from getting the system. But setup was a little complicated.
Oh, okay.
Connecting,
because it wasn't intuitive. Is that the reason?
No, it seemed intuitive. It wouldn't do it.
Oh, like you would do something and then it just wouldn't.
It wouldn't respond.
Okay.
And I don't know if that was a problem based off where I was trying to put it.
Okay.
Because where I ended up plugging the hub in and where I ended up putting the hose outside, they weren't really that far away, but they weren't close either.
Okay.
They weren't like right next to each other. Now I might recommend initially putting them close together so that it might go a little bit quicker.
Okay. Sure.
The other issue I had was actually getting the app initially to respond to the control unit.
Oh, to detect it.
Well, it wasn't intuitive to me. Like setting up the AI on it and setting up the schedule on it, no problem.
Okay.
That was pretty intuitive. If I just want to manually turn on the hose, I couldn't. That wasn't really all that intuitive.
Okay.
It's almost like you're running a. It feels like you're running a programming script.
Oh,
yeah,
that's complicated.
It's a little complicated.
Well, and the way these things work is you turn the faucet on and you leave it on. So you can't just turn it on unless you tell the system to then turn on, right?
And this one, it almost makes you pick an allotted amount of time that you want to turn the hose on for.
Okay. So, it's interesting. So, you remember whenever we reviewed the Ratio?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Sprinkler control.
Smart sprinkler, which I loved. And, really, really great system. But it was similar. If you wanted to turn on a zone, you would have to tell it however long you wanted it to water for.
Right.
So it's a similar type of thing. You can't just turn it on and walk away.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and maybe I can pull this up on the screen here, because
Probably a good thing.
I do have the app.
Okay.
So if I want to, let's see here. Okay, so if I want to turn my water on, there's this button right here that says water manually. Okay, so if I hit that, it brings up all the different zones that I have. I only have one set up right now.
Right.
So it's called my pool garden, because this is the garden by my pool.
Sure.
So if I pull that up, see, it says 10 minutes, 0 seconds. How long do you want to run the pool garden? Okay, so I want to run it for 10 minutes. So then I have 3 options. I have the red X, the blue play, or the green check. Which one do you think you would hit?
I would think the blue play.
But
or the green check.
Right.
Because the green check is actually the one on the far right, and it's the thing I saw first.
Yeah.
But I bet it's the play button.
It is.
But what is the green check for?
Exactly.
Does it do anything?
That was the first one I did, because it was like, what? Why the blue play and the green check?
Those are the same thing. Those are the exact same.
They don't do the same thing.
No. But theoretically, those are both yes.
I think it just means okay, get out of this screen.
Oh. But what does the X do then?
Just cancels it.
So both of them just get out of that screen.
But see, and then, I think this might be what the green check is for, because when you're here, there's also a blue play button down there.
Okay.
So if you said, I want to run it for 10 minutes, but you didn't want to do it right then, I think you could say, I want to do that, but then you would have to hit the blue play button again.
Okay.
In order to do that.
It sounds to me like they had multiple developers. And somewhere along the line, they went, you know what? We just got to push this thing out.
Yeah.
We can't keep making changes to it. That's most likely what happened. That being said, once you figure out that functionality, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, and it has a lot of cool data for you.
Okay.
So just in the My B-Hyve section of it, I can look at all the devices I have. I can set up device groups. I can look at all of my watering history. I can see my notifications, which I actually got a notification this morning telling me hey, your control unit has been disconnected from the network for an hour. You might want to check on that.
Oh.
So it was either the batteries are dead or the network's down, something's going on, but it hasn't responded.
Okay.
So you need to go check on that. That was a notification I got this morning. And then there's a help section, but the calendar section is actually really, really cool. Because one of the things that you can set up with this, and this is actually my favorite thing about it, is has a smart weather connection through the app.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so it
won't water if it knows it's going to rain.
And it actually has a way of detecting the amount of moisture in the soil.
Oh.
And it'll give you...
That's probably data that comes from the weather station,
yes,
most likely.
Yes.
Now, does it also give you the option... Sorry. Does it also give you the option to tell it what kind of soil it is?
Yes.
Okay, because that makes a difference too.
Yeah, and so your different zones can all have different soil types.
Okay.
And
if it's grass.
Not only soil types, it asks you if it has any kind of slope.
Oh.
I mean, it asks all kinds of different questions when you're setting up the zones.
Okay.
So, for instance, the pool garden, mine has a rocky clay soil. With a pretty significant slope.
Yeah.
And so it asks all kinds of different questions in order to set that zone up. And so based off that data that you input into it, it then connects you to the local weather, and then we'll set up a smart weathering time and so mine just told me this morning, hey, your system's going to start watering Monday morning at 6:32.
Okay. Can you... And it just does that. You don't have a lot of, can you tell it?
I can tell it not to.
Because that's one of the things that Ratio did really well, is it had different settings, and it had the most smart setting, which was don't water unless it's supposed to.
Right.
And then they have one that's kind of they called it Flex. And the Flex would be look, you want a little bit of control over it, but we're still going to control it. And then the least amount of control that it would use is you set your own schedule completely. So I'm sure that there's some sort of a spectrum there as well. from you set your own schedule Monday through Sunday, whatever, and then and I don't know why I didn't say Sunday through Saturday, but either way,
You always take Sundays off.
yeah, take Sunday, Monday through Sunday, and then all the way to just water whenever you know it needs to, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, it has all those different options in there.
Sure.
I haven't played around with it too much. I kind of wanted to see how it would do just operating all on its own.
Yeah.
So far so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been pretty happy with it.
I mean, because the great thing is you can go back through and find out when did it water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like, honestly, at my house now, I've got a lot of watering. Like, there's water all over my property, which is phenomenal.
Right.
And the seller also left some of those tripod waterers, sprinklers. That's the word for them. It's been a long day, y'all. And I think it would be wise to. I mean, I'm on a well. I don't care how much water I use.
Yeah.
So I mean, put one of these on each little place, and
You care until you run out.
well, it's gonna be a while. I think the water table's not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. So, but anyway, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and one of the other reasons I got this is because I also wanted to check out. I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to check out these new sprinklers that I bought. And I brought one of them in. So it's a pretty familiar brand. It's Melnor.
Melnor.
Yeah. Like if you
That's not familiar to me.
if you go in most people's yards and you see like those old, they're not old, but like the ones that are like the bar
Yeah.
that go back and forth. Like I would wager like 7 times out of 10 it's going to be a Melnor.
Oh, then I do know those brands.
I mean, there's other companies that make them.
Yeah.
But anytime I've seen one in somebody's yard, it's almost always a Melnor.
Okay.
But I got this one because it has so many different options and it works so well. So you can, I don't know if can they see it in the camera? Okay. So these are obviously where the water comes out. And so these are all adjustable, as
like
to
the spray pattern?
the spray pattern. So you can make it super narrow or you can make it really wide.
Okay.
And that's what these do. And so like if I press this one up all the way, it takes this top bar and it pushes all the water that way.
Oh.
And if I take that one and I push it down all the way, it takes all these and pushes them all this way.
So you can literally like put it like next to a house and it'll spray away from the house.
Yep.
Like, but won't hit the house.
Right.
Because so I've seen some of these before where you can adjust the pattern this way.
Yes.
But I've never been able to see the one that
Does
holds
only
static.
one way and then, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a spreader, right? Like a
Yes.
like a lot of spreaders. You can have an edge guard on it, right?
So like on this one, let's see. So if I was putting it up, let's say the side of the house is right here, I would put this one exactly like what I just did. I put it straight up and down. But then I could take this one and then,
change
and then push it away from the house.
That's cool.
So that's cool. This actually affects the amount of water flow that you have. So you can adjust the pressure.
Okay.
Right?
So that's where you adjust the spray length, like how far it sprays. Okay.
Yeah, so more, less.
Sure.
So, and then it ratchets whatever direction you want to go.
Interesting.
Right? Then, what I think is super cool is these adjustments. You got one on this side, and you have one on this side.
Okay.
That affects the
Where it
yaw
stops.
in back and forth.
Okay.
So you can, set it, if it's down all the way, it means that it can go all the way that way. But if I have it here and it's going to stop it right there.
He can change the yaw, y'all.
And you have one on both sides.
I love that.
So,
and it's got a pretty wide range.
It does.
Yeah.
And so like you can get lots of different patterns out of it, and then you can connect another one to it.
Multiple.
Yeah. And so
nice.
So I connected 2 of these to the B-Hyve.
Okay.
And then set them up in very specific patterns around that garden.
Okay.
Man, is it cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And like when you play with this thing and you get it set up like where it's like when it's straight up and down like that, the water pattern is only right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awfully specific.
Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know the application that would be good for.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that I have the option.
Right. You live in like a townhome where
right.
You've got one little.
I need to water the alley.
My 4-inch alley. That's awesome. So, how much was were the sprinklers?
Those were $19.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not bad at all.
Yeah. I bought them on Amazon.
Okay.
Those were $19. That was, I want to say it was like $69.
Yeah. So I'm looking at them right here. It looks like if you just want the watering timer on their website, it shows with the Wi-Fi hub, it shows it to be $79.
Okay.
And then if you don't want the hub,
I didn't pay
it
$79.
shows it to be $59. Most likely, if you buy it on a third-party website, it's probably cheaper because they're probably buying in bulk and getting a discount.
I'm pretty sure I paid like $69.
Okay.
But yeah, I do remember the individual units being $59.
Yeah, and free shipping over $35. How generous.
Oh,
So
what nice people.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. I have Amazon, so
Just right.
I'll just use that. So
Well, did we? We probably didn't cover everything about that, just because I mean, like, the app is really, really deep.
yeah,
Like there's a lot to cover with that app. I mean, there's a calendar function. You can set up programs. It looks like there's 3 different program sets. And programming. Let me say this. You can set up your own program in this.
okay,
Or you can do what they call smart watering, which is where you just let the app do the thinking for you based off the weather and the soil moisture and blah, blah, blah.
sure.
I opted for the smart watering.
Yeah, that's smart.
I figured
No pun intended.
It's going to be more economical than I would be. And like inevitably I set up a program. It's going to water on a rain day.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, and look, there's so many things that you and I and everybody else that's listening to this podcast have to do. Like, I don't need to think about whenever my yard's going to water, and I don't want to go pay for an irrigation system.
No.
And so I think that things like this, like the old one, I'll tell you, the old one that I had, it worked, but it was frustrating to set up because like just the system was very, I don't know, old. It was not intuitive. This, where you can sit inside your house and set it up, and at the same time, you know that like it's taken care of. I don't have to worry about it. As long as, someone doesn't come move the sprinkler, then I'm good.
You're in good shape.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I forgot to mention about this, once you get it set up, I think the beauty of this thing is the ability to control it with your phone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because before we did this episode, I had it hooked up and was testing it. I think it was back when we interviewed Charles. We're talking about furniture. Because I remember like showing him, I was like, hey, check this out. And I turned on the sprinklers with, he's like, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
But there is a manual override on the control unit that is not super easy to use.
Okay.
It says there's like their little logo with a B, and that's a button. And underneath the button, it says on off.
Oh, okay.
And so you would think that all you'd really need is just press the button.
Sure.
And that turns it on, and then press it, and that turns it off. That is not how it works.
Oh.
Like, you have to hold it until a green light comes on, and then you let go, and then when you let go, it blinks green, and then it comes on.
And then there's a play button that just...
Yes. So, like once you know, it's like, okay, now I know how to do it.
Sure.
But like, if you're just, Joe Schmo walking up to it going, I'm going to turn this thing on.
No.
Like, it's just not going to happen, and you're going to get frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, and what I found with stuff like this, there's probably instructions somewhere.
Yeah.
And likely, a lot of these places that or devices, they have instructions online, like in their app somewhere or whatever, which is great, except I'm app savvy.
Right.
Like I don't need your directions. Like seriously, today the device that we're going to review later, I didn't look at the directions to put it together. Why would I? I mean, it's a fairly normal device, so
Right.
not that big of a deal. And stuff like this, like I'm app savvy, I ought to be able to figure this out. And so stuff like that does get convoluted. But here's the thing: like I think that this is a really, really good alternative to a sprinkler system.
Oh yeah,
really good alternative.
I mean, especially when if you can get these sprinklers.
Yeah,
I mean that you can like custom shape to your yard.
Yeah, and once you have the hub, the devices are a lot less expensive.
Yes,
because you only have to buy the hub once.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they
as long as it can reach
the connection.
So and I think the way the hub should be inside.
Oh, okay.
Mine's not. But it's covered and protected.
Okay.
It's out of the elements.
Is it in the pool area?
No. It's on my porch.
Oh, okay. Well, it's under a roof.
Right. Yeah. So I did it that way because I was like, it's gonna have a better chance of connecting.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, makes sense.
But
cool.
That's about it, man.
All right.
I mean, if y'all have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them. Kevin would be happy to answer them. We got, real-time experience with this thing. For what it is, man, it's a fantastic product.
Sure.
If you aren't tech savvy, it could be frustrating for you.
Sure.
But you may also have a completely different experience from me. I found it just a little bit... The physical setting up of the devices I found a little bit challenging, and frustrating.
But again, the functionality that you get from it, and once you do it, you've got it.
Well, once it's connected, like the app is great to walk you through all of the setup stuff. The only issue with the app was the manual watering. It took me a while to kind of figure out how that worked, and also because there's a pretty what I would consider a significant delay between activating that manual watering and when it actually comes on.
Okay, so you're sitting there going, is it going to work?
Yeah.
Is it going to work? But your phone's got to connect to the hub. The hub's then got to send a message out, and it takes 20 seconds, and you're like, holy cow.
I mean, and it's probably like 10, 15 seconds, but it's still like going, because we're so used to like things immediately responding, you're like, okay, what's the deal here? Like,
right.
And then it engages.
Sure.
So it does work. You just got to give it a second.
Sure. Got it. Cool. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening in and for downloading the episode today. We're getting close, Craig,
to the big 200.
The big 200. We are not far away. So hang with us another few episodes. Tell your friends, because 200, we're going to celebrate.
Woo-hoo!
I don't even know how, but we're going to. If you haven't already liked our page, go to Facebook, like our page, and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for being here, guys. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See you.